You're listening to the New Jersey Real Estate Investor Podcast. We talk about all topics related to being a real estate investor in the Garden State, based on our experiences with buying, selling, managing, and building rentals. So together, we can all be better investors. Now, here is your host, Pete Tverdov.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the New Jersey Real Estate Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Pete Tverdov. I'm here today with Joe Colella. Did I say that right?
You said it right.
I didn't even practice that. That was pretty good.
That was good. Yeah, usually it's not.
Joe Colella, he's a master of real estate in New Jersey, sells a ton of houses, and on top of it has been doing a lot of construction now for how many years?
8 years.
8 years? Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's pretty impressive. So I thought it'd be really good to have him on the podcast to talk about construction, because that's, a sexy topic that, people love seeing, like new construction and doing it. So anyway, welcome. I'm happy you came, man.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to dive right into it like I always do. So I didn't know you were doing it for 8 years. I thought you were only doing it for 2 years. So you could give a high level overview of what you do, because I know Joe operates one of the biggest real estate teams in New Jersey. I'm going to guess top 3 or top 2, maybe. Am I insulting you?
I don't know outside of EXP. EXP, we're the number one team in EXP. So we have 95 agents.
Holy smokes.
Last year we did about 700 sales. So we got to be up there in the state, but we do a decent amount of houses.
So number one in EXP in New Jersey, or
Correct. Yeah. In the country, we're teetering top 10.
That's still really impressive.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, there's some really big powerhouse teams, but
yeah, no, I've been to the office you guys have in South Amboy. Yeah, they have a really cool office. It was it used to be a tech.
Yeah, it was
company?
a tech company.
Yeah.
They actually originally used to have they were the original Star 67 spoof callers.
Oh,
so
God.
you call into the phone number, and then they change your phone number for a spoof call.
Interesting. Yeah, so obviously an enormous amount of skills and knowledge with selling houses and running a team and all that stuff. We're not going to talk about that too much today, but yeah, I can't even wrap my head around that, man. I mean, I've been to the office. I've kind of seen how you guys work a little bit. It's impressive, what you and Matt do. So obviously, at some point, you got into the construction side of things. Now, you still, I think you said you don't really sell the house anymore. You still run the teams. How involved are you in each right now?
Yeah, I would say the majority of my time is on the real estate team. So we're trying to grow that. Right now we have a North Division, a Central Division. I have a partner, Matt, obviously on the real estate side. And then on the construction side, I have 2 partners as well that are more operators in the construction space. They don't know so much the real estate side, but I would say I'm probably 70-30, where 30% of my time is in construction, 70% of my time is in the actual team itself. The construction, we can leverage a lot more subs, and we have a project manager as well. So it allows us to leverage a little bit more.
Interesting. So what got you into the new construction? Because I've seen a lot of that on Instagram, you guys are really active with that.
Yeah. So originally we started kind of like everybody else, starting to do regular fix and flips. You just get really worn out of just going into a house, redoing the same thing over and over. And then I don't care what anyone says, you're always going to run over budget, you're going to run over timeline, there's a problem. And then I just felt there was so much more babysitting. With new construction, I could just go in, here's the blueprint. You're dealing with better subs because you're paying them a little bit more money. You don't need a jack of all trades. You just have the electrician, the plumber, the HVAC guy. When you're doing renovations to really make money in a reno, you need a guy that can do a little bit of electrical, a little bit of plumbing. He can put the cabinets up while they're waiting, that kind of thing. And that's hard to find guys like that nowadays. Nobody is a tradesman anymore. I'm by no means not a handy person, but I know it's something needs a cost, and I know it needs to look like. That's all you need to know. I don't know how to physically do it. I can't hang cabinets myself, but I can tell you if that guy knows what he's doing or not.
I've noticed that being wearing my builder hat, because not that anybody's job's easy, but if you're a plumber, your job's to connect pipe with glue, right, and solder. And just be a plumber.
Yeah.
When you're a builder, you need to know what everybo's doing, and if
ahead of time.
Yeah, but also during the job, you need to know if they're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
So if you don't know that, you don't know if they're doing a good job or not.
Yeah, it's and that's a learning curve in itself. I had
Absolutely.
no construction experience prior to this, but I kind of leveraged the partners that I've had, and trust me, I've hired bad people. I have people right now that are on jobs that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I I don't think there's a way around it. Like anyone that says, oh, everything's perfect, not in construction. There's no way.
Yeah. So to back up a little bit, so you started doing flips. When did you start doing flips?
That was about 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Purchased
first flip, had no idea what I was doing. Did okay. Like we were kind of in a rise. At the time, it wasn't a crazy market, but it was a pretty even out market. And yeah, I mean, it was okay. And, stuff was turning over. My thought process was like, I'd rather be in something where I can turn my money over quicker. So I wanted to do more of a short-term flip. That time, there was a lot more inventory. So like there was more opportunities that made sense. Right now, like that's the hardest thing is like a renovation, like you're competing with regular homeowners. So That's why we slowly transition to the new construction, and it's just way cleaner. Like I don't have to wake up knowing like, there's a rainstorm and we didn't change the roof because we didn't have the budget to change the roof. And now there's a hole in the roof and now we got to change the roof, certain things like that. And home inspections, versus reno versus new construction, like our renovations, like right now, we just put like 3 properties in market. All of them got offers in the first week. All of them have inspection request list of 10 plus items. So it's just like
these are flips?
These are regular flips.
Yeah.
Where like on the new construction side, it's like, one of our new constructions in Morristown, there's a problem with the hot water heater. The TRP valve was leaking. Call the plumber back.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
He comes back out, fixes it. And there's no charge because it's part of the bill. Like that was his job.
So me personally, I hate when I'm working with like buyers and we're looking at flips because I tell them, I was like, a lot of flips are garbage, man. Or like,
100%.
Or they're like Home Depot flips, I call them. It's like a lot of lipstick on a pig.
Yep.
As a buyer, in my opinion, you have to be careful with flips.
It's hard. And me being on the other side, I've helped buyers purchase and I've obviously sold a ton of them. And I would say I'm more reasonable being on both sides of it. Like we just did a project in Neptune. The guy asked for like 30 items. We literally replaced the roof. I was actually at one point going to replace the sewer because he was asking for crazy credits. But the problem is like when they go to like Roto-Rooter or they go to these crazy places, like all of a sudden now he's sending me estimates for 20,000. Like guys, we're digging up a part of the pipe in the ground, 10 feet. Like it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's $5,000.
Yeah, it's like they're subbing it out. Like
100%. Yeah.
So that's a hard thing too. And most of the time, like I'm pretty good. We're like, I even gave him a warranty on the roof because I'm like, dude, I'm not going to sell you a shit product. That's why I was telling like a lot of these agents, like the problem is a lot of these agents just have no experience right now. Like there's a lot of like rollover agents from COVID era that, sold a ton of houses. Now they don't know what they're doing. And they don't want to do anything. Right. So they don't explain anything to the client. They don't know anything about construction and they don't pick up the phone. So I can't talk to them about, hey, this isn't actually a big deal.
I don't think any realtor picks up the phone.
Yeah. So
by the way, I'm guilty of that. I'm like, just text me.
I get that too, but at least like
answer.
Yeah.
Respond.
At least respond to it.
I know, man. So yeah, wow, you said a lot there. I agree with you with a lot of that. So you, at some point you stopped flipping and you're like,
I still flip.
Okay. But at some point you were like, I want to do more new construction stuff.
So the transition was really additions first.
Okay. Yeah.
So first we started doing additions, which I thought would be better because like 75% of it is new, but
it's tough.
But it's actually just as bad as a regular flip because now you're tying into bigger stuff.
And it's just as expensive.
Yeah, you're tying into bigger stuff. So now it's like you're not, fixing partial framing, you're fixing the entire framing. And you're running numbers before you tear off the entire house and recognize, oh, there's termite damage in the entire corner of the house. So now I didn't include that into my lumber. So there's stuff like that was challenging. Buyers, once again, being picky with certain things. The difference with that is like you're able to hire better subs. The margin's a little bit better. And I would say there was a good 2-year run of like EDA levels that like did well. And then all of a sudden, like everybody started doing it and competing with it. And then also buyers started being competitive with it where now like a homeowner is like, oh, I'm going to go hire a contractor because it's cheaper to do this, blah, blah, blah. Let me throw a second level on a ranch. So we still do them, but I would say my costs have come down so much on new construction. I'd rather spend the extra 50, 60,000 to have less of a headache with the basement.
So how many new construction jobs, like roughly on average, are you doing a year?
Probably like 15 to 20.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I see you do it like in all different towns. It seems like no towns off.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother thing, actually. So last year we sat down and I was just like, me being an agent, I was like, there's not enough inventory for us to achieve like the goals we wanted to. Like everybody wants to be that person in that specific town. And don't get me wrong, I think that's that works. Like I know some of the best builders that are in North Edison, Bergen County, Paran, and that only do that.
They're the guy. Yep.
My problem is like to hit my goal, there was no way I would be able to do that in a market because most of the markets that I'm close to, I'd have to compete with those guys. And like a lot of those guys in those markets, they purposely overpay just to get inventory and
keep people busy, keep themselves busy.
Keep people busy. Yep. So I was noticing that and I'm like, the margins just are not good enough for what it was. And we were super leveraged. Like a lot of these older builders are all cash. Like you mentioned financing, they don't even know, like, they're like, no, we don't finance anything. I'm like, what do you mean you have 20 projects? Most of the people that I've seen that are doing big construction that own 20, 30 projects or whatever, they're paying all cash. They have another business that's supplying it. Everything I do is pretty much finance. Like I probably own 2 properties cash right now.
So can we talk about the financing a little bit?
Yeah.
So, because I'm sure somebody listening to this, because like a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do new construction. Where do I start? And I'll give you a quick anecdote that I learned. Like maybe it was a different experience for you, but no builder really wants to help you.
Nope.
Like, so I remember asking this guy who was a builder in town. I was like, hey, like I'm doing my first build. Like, do you have any like any tips for me? He's like, bro, it's pretty easy. Just build it. I was like, yeah, I get that. I was like, but do you have like, things that if you wish, you wouldn't do? He's like, nah, I can't really think of anything, man. He's like, it's really easy. In my head, I'm like, thanks a lot, asshole. I was like, which like in my head, and it's not just this town. It's like any town. Like I talk to people, and they're bragging about how great their buildings go. I'm like, wow, like, do you have any subs you could recommend? Nah, I can't, man. My architect, he's really busy.
You know what I find on that though is like even my subs are unreliable. So like,
well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, like if people ask me, I'm like, sure, but that doesn't mean they're going to work for you.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead. Like, I don't mind, but that's what I just find it funny because at the end of the day, like I'm not BlackRock. You're not, backed by Pete.
Exactly.
Okay. You do 15 or 20 a year. That's impressive, Joe. But like, okay, that's so to do 1,000 homes, it's going to take you like 50 years.
I know.
Right. 1,000 homes is probably the size of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's like, there's plenty of homes to go around. So that's why
I agree with that 100%.
That's why like okay,
that happens all the time where it's like, oh, I'm not going to give you the framer because with this guy, but like I find most of the time is like, it's a funny thing where like, if you're doing enough projects, then you can kind of keep your guys. But what I was noticing when I was just starting out, like I was always like the second guy on the list, like second or third guy. And like, I was like, I'm not a priority here. Like literally I'm showing up to the job site, like, they're showing up at 4:00. I'm like, dude, what are you going to get done at 4:00? Like just doing stupid stuff like that, like trying to take advantage of the situation. But a lot has changed since then. And I think in the beginning, like I was kind of gullible. Like I was just paying, like I had bank money. I would be like, oh, here. So like I didn't really have a structure of kind of how it was going to go. I didn't really know. And even too, like most contractors that I'm partnering with, like it's a different setup. Like you're getting 40, 50% up front from a homeowner. Like you have all the money. You got them. Where you want them.
Right.
Where like on an investment side, like these guys, like as loyal as they are, they still play games and do what it is, do what they do. But I learned my lesson plenty of times with paying for cheaper guys.
I just had somebody on my big job I'm doing like cry to me like he had to pay for the lull, which for you, those of you who don't know, it's like a machine that picks up like material and like it almost looks like a forklift, kind of. And he's like, oh, the lull was like $10,000. In my head, I'm like, you really don't think I'm going to look up how much it costs to rent a lull? Which, by the way, I did before you even opened your mouth, and it's like $3 or $4 for the month.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you keep telling me it's $10,000, so like I'm not stupid. But anyway, so to get back to the financing, so you're doing 15 to 20 a year. So I'm sure like a new person's thinking like, how do you finance those? Because I'm curious myself.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things was you need a track record to start.
Sure. Yeah.
And what I thought was crazy is sitting down with a lot of these banks. You could be a contractor for 50 years. If you don't have title on any of those properties, they count it as zero most of the time. I don't know about regional banks, but most of the time, because I would try to bring in a contractor partner and they'd be like, oh, that's great. He's a contractor, but he doesn't physically own the property. So like we can't actually give him credit for it. Some of them are lenient with what it is, especially now they're trying to all fight for business. But I think track record first. And I think I kind of just got lucky that I naturally made the transition and I worked with a couple different banks. I got linked on to a really good regional bank who doesn't really do a lot of new construction, which is Unity. They were amazing. I don't know why they trusted me with all the money they did. But I think like why I was different is like I met with them beforehand in person. We sat down. I kind of explained the game plan. I walked them through everything. Like I think they were so used to the opposite of like contractors just like not communicating.
They're very unorganized. Like that's a very unorganized profession.
Yeah. So I think like me always being on top of it, and that was more so me being like extra cautious because I was like, all right, these guys are putting money out there. Like I don't want to, make a bad relationship. So that bank really like helped me launch pad to get a lot of money during that COVID time. But then they slowly transitioned out because they were like a cash register at the time. Like, like what was crazy is their draw schedules, like they didn't really monitor. Like they had the wrong construction team, which I get because I think they were more old school driven where they're like relying on the contractors and they were cool in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think what happened is you got a lot of bad apples that came in and they're like taking money and not paying stuff back. So they really cracked down on that. But yeah, they were a big help. I always try to give regional banks looks.
100%.
But right now, most of the brokers that I've been working with have been really, really good.
Mortgage brokers?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know like Jeff Van Note. Yeah. So Jeff's a good guy. He knows a bunch of people in the lending space, residential and hard money. I've used the guys at Brick City, which is like in Newark.
Oh, so you're using it sounds like more like hard money guys for private money.
Yeah, a lot of it's hard money.
You know what's funny? I'm not probably. I'm going to do another small development probably next summer. Like it's an approval that I personally bought. Mm-hmm. It's already been approved, and now we have to get all the stuff you have to get before you can actually get your construction permits. And I was talking with my mortgage lender, and they went to like a traditional bank. And what I've learned with traditional banks is you have to pay so much interest up front. It sucks. Mm-hmm. And so they give me another option with like I guess the equivalent of like a Brick City. And so maybe the rate's a little bit higher for me, but out of pocket is way less, which for me, I'm willing to make that trade-off because I have more liquidity.
100%. So like a lot of my deals, I've struck like right now, like most of the construction money we're getting is 11%, 2 points, 2.5 points sometimes. New construction is pretty strict. It's 20% down, but these guys will actually hold the payments. So some of my...
Till the end?
Yeah.
Wait, the interest?
Interest payments.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, which is huge because like I have 2 projects right now, like Milburn, the interest payments are like $11,000 a month. So like it's, like by having them alleviate that like is huge because now I could just keep picking on more projects and yes, I make a slimmer margin. So 2 things they do, they hold it for 24 months and interest only, they carry all the 24 months.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that
I might be giving them a call.
Yeah. I'll connect you. And that's through Jeff too. Like once you meet Jeff, like Jeff knows a lot of people in the space. I've known him for a while in the residential space, but yeah, they've been a tremendous help. I've always like toyed with the idea of like private money. I could just never get real people on board.
See, I can. That's always like intimidated me. So like the project I'm doing now is the first time I've ever taken private money. Mm-hmm. And my partner like honestly helped me get that off the ground. But we had to raise like pretty small amount of money. And I made 1 phone call and that was it.
That's good.
Yeah. And like now I have other projects in the pipeline where we might have to raise like a couple $1 million. And it sounds crazy, but I'm like very confident like I could raise that because I've had a track record with like real estate investing and blah, 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 where I've always had clients be like, Pete, I want to invest in you. I want to invest in you. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't know how to do that. But now I'm learning how to do it, which is like a whole nother world. So with the financing, so it sounds typically like you're getting, I guess with private money, like 20% down and then 100%, they lend 100% on the construction and you roughly pay like 11%, 2 points.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very similar to like flipping, except the lender is not making you pay monthly payments. They're making you pay when you sell, probably based on your track record.
Correct.
Like a newbie is, so what I've learned is with new construction, at least with banks, you probably have to partner with somebody in the beginning because they don't care how much money you make, what your balance sheet looks like.
At the time, they allowed additions to qualify. So I kind of just like snuck in there and built up enough additions. And like some of the additions I did were like 2,000 square foot additions. So I was just like, when I was talking to the bank rep,
that is new construction,
I'm like,
basically.
This is new construction.
Yeah, that's a big addition.
Like, but it's not ground. It's like what was crazy because at one point I was getting 90. Like so, right now I can get 9,100 on a regular flip.
Yeah,
why
good.
I liked the additions is I could get 9,100 on the addition. So like I did an addition in Clark. It was 300,000 purchase. It was like a couple of years ago. I put down 10%. I only had 30,000 in this project and we sold it for 1 million.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I was like, that's insane. But to them, like all the numbers checked out, everything worked. So like it just works. So I try to put obviously as low as I can down that makes justifiable sense.
Pete Tverdov here. If you are a high-paid professional making more than $300,000 a year and you are looking to build wealth and to diversify your investing portfolio, me and my team at Tverdov Housing can help you build a real estate portfolio and earn passive income owning rental property here in New Jersey. We could help you find the property, help renovate it, help manage it, and even help you sell it and buy something bigger and better one day. If you want to build wealth, get some passive income, and have more financial freedom than ever before, contact us today. Now, when you're just to shift topics a little bit, because you're buying in all these different towns,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems to me like, and I'm sure you could explain this, but like, are you buying some approvals? Are you just buying like a ranch and you have like not an in-house architect, but like the same architect who kind of has the same blueprint of like what you're building?
Really good question. Yeah. So like, that's a whole nother thing because most of the time you need plans submitted to actually get the loan. But now as long as you get a stamp from an architect saying like, hey, the plans are good, I'm going to send them in and they're going to get approved, then most banks will be okay. I pretty much have 3 or 4 guys. Like I learned the hard way in certain towns, like you have to like, up in North Jersey, like I hired the wrong architect. We paid him $10,000. We submitted the plans. Everything was wrong. And then when we find out like, oh, if you use this guy, like it would have literally gotten approved in a week. And we switched to that guy and now we're here.
Yeah.
So like little things like that, but I have different guys for different things. Like if we're doing a small addition, I'll use this guy. If we're doing brand new construction, now I'm geared towards moving towards this guy. And then like if I'm in Livingston, Millburn, Short Hills, like I use this guy. So I've tried to like branch out and be like, all right, who's submitting the most applications in this town? Who knows the people in the town?
So you're using the architect based on the town that you're buying in.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like you're buying it with like approved plans. You're kind of like buying like maybe even some of the distressed and then.
Yeah. So like we just closed on a house in Livingston last week. Didn't have approvals. We're submitting plans next week. The bank was all on board. We gave them preliminary plans. So normally what I'll do is I'll get the desk drawings from the architect and be like, hey, what do you have that's in this town? And that's a good thing with working with the architect that's been in the town.
Oh,
they already have desk drawings where it's like, all right, they're not going to charge me $15,000.
Right, because you're almost picking like it's already been, the drawing's already been done. So you're just
I'm literally using my competitors' plans in the town. Yeah.
That's smart.
And just changing it slightly. But most of the time, if I'm like, okay, 3 houses sold like that within a mile radius, like I'm going to use the same plan.
It's smart. Why would you?
I'm not going to try to deviate from it. The only time I did that was in the beginning with that Linden house. And I just thought, you think you know something and then you get rocked in construction.
Bro, yeah, I know. Believe me. You don't know what you don't know. And I love construction. I really do. But it's
humbling.
It is. Well, so it's funny because like I talk to people and, they're like, Pete, how'd you get into construction? I'm like, oh, I took all these classes at Rutgers. They're like, really? I'm like, no. I was like, there are no classes. It's like, you know how? I watched YouTube and like I learned on the job, like on the fly.
1,000%.
Which you could argue it's way easier to learn how to do it today versus like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I have a couple people in my network that the one thing that they said to me is like, you could never scale like you could 20 years ago because the banks, there was no private market for the most part for construction and stuff like that. Like you needed like a legit loan shark to lend you money. And like even those guys were like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to lend it to businesses where we're getting paid every single week instead of like on a yearly basis. And then the whole private market kind of thing opened up. So like I have a couple buddies that are like, they've only done like cash only deals. I don't even know what that means. Like I can never even imagine.
I know a builder like that. He's like, I don't even know what the inside of a bank looks like.
Yeah. So we're like me on the flip side. Like I leverage everything within reason. Like we underwrite everything. Like I'm usually like 10% below on ARV, 10% above on material. Like if I'm happy with that number, then we move forward, so. So
it sounds like you must have like a computer program or something where I'm going to build, make it up a number, 3,000 square foot house. It's going to cost me roughly X to build. Like you kind of know that off the rip.
The best part about new construction, like right now, if I'm in like a more luxury area like Livingston, I'm about like 170 a square foot. If I'm in like a mid-range area, I'm like 150. If I'm like spec, it's like 125.
Really?
So
well, let me ask you this question because this is like people love talking about like cost per square foot.
Yeah.
So those numbers, what does that include? Like, is that including site work? Is that including permits, like soft costs?
Yeah, it's all in. So
really?
175 permit, site work, approved.
I've been building stuff right around there. it's different because at least right now I build for myself.
Mhm.
And then I do have some stuff coming in the pipeline for clients. So that's obviously a little bit different, but like you're probably going to like roll your eyes at some of this stuff. Like the rentals I build, like I put zip on there, like zip systems.
No, I've seen it. I know.
The one I'm building now,
They should give you awards in the town.
I know, man. So I was showing the site to somebody today, and like I could tell, like he could not have given any less of a damn. But like now I'm using like Zip R3, so it's got like insulation on the inside.
Yeah.
Because if you actually read the plans, now the
it
codes
usually calls for it.
Yeah, but like so like I look around, I'm like nobody's putting this on. I don't
You
get it.
House rep.
Yeah. So I was like, so anyway, so like I understand I could cut costs on stuff like that, and then like again, like I'm building rentals, so like I'll put hardwood floors in. I won't put like vinyl. It's like,
Yeah, I'm actually against vinyl. I have a couple good hardwood floor guys that they can almost beat pricing on vinyl.
Dude, it's almost we're probably on the same page. It's not that much more expensive.
Exactly. Yeah,
and it looks so much better. And the thing I hate about vinyl, new construction, this doesn't happen, but on your flips and additions, like if the floor is not perfectly level,
it's horrible. I just had this. Yeah.
I could feel the bubbles and the air
pockets.
pockets.
Yeah, buyer walks through, they're like, "What's this?" And it's like the whole floor needs it's always the whole floor needs to be ripped out.
Yeah.
We try to sometimes glue down, but then the glue costs money. So it's just like
or what we would do is we'll put like self leveler, but yeah, anyway, yeah. So like that's interesting with the cost per square foot, because as I'm sure you see this too, like on the stuff you build, this is how I feel. Like I walk through there, I'm like, man, this place looks terrible. And then like people walk in like, Joe, this looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
In your head, you're like, this is wrong. That's wrong. This is wrong.
I get some of the, like we just transitioned to doing some homeowner stuff because people were asking us for additions and new construction and stuff like that over the last 2 years. And it's like funny because I love those jobs because I don't have to pay the banks. I get paid up front. I can literally tell them how to design the house because I've been in multiple houses. I'm like, you should do this. But yeah, I mean, even if it's down to the light switches on some of my new construction, like sometimes I always can't be on site. So like I might do a walkthrough, like, I can kind of pop in the middle of the day or something like that. And I'm like walking through and like I see electrical's done. And I'm like, why is that light switch there? Why is this there? Why is this there? And like the construction guys are like, what do you mean?
I'm following the plans.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
It's like I've never built a house, especially new construction, that I haven't changed something on. Dude, walking through it.
Well, yeah. So what I've noticed when you do new construction is you look at the plans over. At least, I mean, I do this. Like you look at them over and over and over and over and over and over, and then the more you look at them, you're like, that ain't right. Like, this doesn't look right. And then it starts getting framed. Yep. It's like I'm framing right now one project, and we're walking through. I'm talking to my framer. I'm like, well, this is stupid. I'm like, why isn't the door here? This is there's a 3-foot dead space. Why do we have a dead space? Look, the architect's not perfect. And if you don't have an interior designer, like
that's huge.
Yes, which I've learned.
We recently we brought on 2 people that we utilize in that because me picking tile or me doing anything just doesn't make sense. But yeah, that was a hard thing because when I first started, I thought the same thing. Like, we're sitting there on site and I'm like, dude, build the house. Come on. It's to the plan. And he's like, no. Like, it's not going to work. And I'm like, especially on the additions, because the architect is like estimating. And they're like, oh, there could be a beam in the wall of this. And then it's like, you get there. Like I have a house in Wayne that we're doing an addition on for a homeowner. And the architect put some beam size, which unless you take apart the house, you don't know. So it's just like on site, you're making changes. And then it's like, now there's a change order. And now they're like, well, why is there a change order? Well, this is why.
I know. That's the other thing I battle. Like, because with our construction company, we've started marketing to homeowners and like they get upset. I'm like, listen, I promise you, I'm not trying to rip you off here, but like, I don't know what's behind the wall. This actually just happened to us on a job I'm doing. And my client listens to this podcast, so he's going to know what I'm talking about. But we opened up the walls and the architect didn't know there was like a massive beam that carried the whole load of the house behind the wall. So my framers like framed off that wall because we're not going to rip all the ceiling joists off, right? And then we have to put new 2x10 or 2x12. I'm like, he's never going to do that. So we frame it, and then we're measuring the bedrooms. And long story short, they're like 2 feet short. And I was like, what is going on? I couldn't figure it out. And then finally I was like, oh my God, like we framed it off this wall. Yeah. Because like if we didn't, I don't know, we would have had to like reconstruct the entire roof and everything. So like, so like so now we're like bumping out a wall to like get the 2 feet back. And it's just like a big headache. But like, architects can't see that stuff. You can't see that stuff. And then, and so some of that stuff you have to decide in the field, like right on the spot. It's challenging.
I had one, it was an addition I did, and the main sink window was lined up with the sink and everything looked good from the plan, but the cabinet person doesn't come in until sheetrock is in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was walking through and I'm just like, I don't think there's enough room for 2 cabinets on that side. And it, like, I'm that particular where I literally made them move the window over 2 feet. So you can put
after sheetrock?
No.
Okay.
Before that, thank God, I literally called the framer. I'm like, listen, like, I don't know what it's going to take to do this, but we have to move this window over 2 feet. He's like, are you joking me? He's like, we're going to have to put a temporary wall to move the window over 2 feet. They spent the whole day doing this.
Yeah,
and it cost me like an extra $1,500. And I'm like, dude, I have to do it because like, I already know I can hear the buyer's wife in my head going, why is that window like that? Or something.
No, but they're right, man. Like it's that. So the other thing that's funny is, and a buddy of mine who I went to like elementary school with, he moved to North Carolina. He's I think he's like a track builder, like down there in the Charlotte area. He builds like 60 homes a year.
Wow.
Yeah, like powerhouse. And he told me something that stuck with me. He's like, Pete, you've never built this house before. You don't know the problems that are going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So true.
It's 100% true. So you think with new construction, like, what could go wrong? Like, there's plans, there's no surprises. Like, I'm like, no, that's wrong. There's nothing but surprises because you don't know until you start building it and you're looking, you're like, well, that's stupid. Like, why is that there?
Yeah.
You know, that's a fun that I have with it because like as you're building it, you're like, well, maybe we should have 2 sump pumps, not 1. You know, and maybe we should have this and not that. So anyway, I really enjoy it. So I want to ask you maybe a couple quicker questions. Do you have any preferred towns to build in and conversely not build in based on experience?
Honestly, right now we're all over. Like, there's towns I like to build in that are easier. You know, I think Edison's relatively easy. There's a lot of construction going on there, north and south. Some towns, Livingston's been pretty easy. Short Hills is very difficult.
Really?
There's a lot of changes to the code. Like, we actually had the codes change as we did a submission. So then our plans were wrong.
Oh, man.
Which sucked. So that was the one I was telling you I hired the wrong architect. We were going to do an addition, and then all of a sudden they came out with this new rule with height requirements and like how to designate a 3rd story. And our raised ranch was a 3rd story based on the elevations. Like, we had to do a topographic survey. They want us to pin all the corners. It was you pull up to the house, all it was a raised ranch with like half the basement out. And they're like, no, so that's the 2nd floor. So you can't put a 3rd floor on it. I'm like, dude, come on. So I learned that lesson. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we've been in a bunch of different towns, you know, right now we're building 2 new construction, Union Beach,
no kidding. Sand,
a lot of water.
So let's talk about that a minute. Cause like with new construction, there's shale, there's dirt, there's dirt, there's shale, there's clay.
Yeah.
And then there's sand. So sand, to my knowledge, you have to go down pretty damn far. And I think you have to drive like piles, or maybe you could just talk about that a little.
Union Beach in like Middletown area is interesting. There's no pylons, like we're block, but we have to like fill it with stone, like almost like when you do superior walls, how you're putting stone on the bottom and stuff. But it sucked because like you almost need a guy there before the inspector comes out. Like, we just had the footing inspection, a guy there waiting with a pump, pumping the water out because the water table's so high.
Oh God.
So it's like, no matter what, you always have water.
Right.
So like, it's like when we were just pouring the footing, it's like you're pumping as they're putting the footing in.
Holy smokes.
So it's just like extra kind of things. And then also that was like, it's kind of similar what you deal with. This is a 25 by 100 lot. So it's a super narrow lot. Trying to get excavators around anywhere is impossible.
It's my specialty.
Yeah. The neighbors are freaking out.
Yep.
And there's dirt in the road and all, like, it just becomes a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
Or like building in Morristown, like, no one even knew we put up a house.
Yeah. I was just talking to my supplier about that before this podcast. I was like, you know, one of these days I'm going to build a house on 2 acres and it's going to be really easy. Mm-hmm. But I haven't been able to have that so far.
I think so far is like an acre. That's like the house we did in Morristown. But
that's
everything
such a layup,
else,
dude.
The only thing with that house was on like a 45-degree angle hill.
Yeah.
So the hill was tough.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah, the hill was tough, but we were still able to get equipment and machines back there.
Yeah, that's the other part of new construction you don't really think about is like all the logistics, the equipment, where are you storing the material, like how are you securing the site, you know, all that stuff. But it's interesting what you say about some of the towns because, you know, we've done construction in some towns, where I've found the inspectors to be like very pleasant. The plain fields scare me, honestly. Like I've heard
they
stories.
Scare me because after the COs that we do with the real estate side, I can't imagine what the inspectors are like.
They like me. They like my company too, and they're like, my God, they're tough.
Yeah.
You know, and then like we talked about this previous to the show, but like Hudson County, I have no interest. Like if you need somebody to build you a house in Hudson County, please call somebody else. I won't do it. Like I've just heard nothing but nightmares about Hudson County. So that stuff's important too, because if you're trying to build new construction, like the town could also make you or break you. Like if you just can't get permits, if you can't get off the ground.
1,000%.
You know?
1,000%. And like I think me being a little naive in the beginning was like, I'm just going to go expand out to all these markets. And like some of my like mentors and stuff, like they're like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you're like barking down the wrong tree, because now you have to, like, every single town's a different process.
You got to relearn the whole process. Yep.
But what I kind of figured in the mix is like, all right, but if I hire the right people for architecture, engineering, they can kind of like get me in the door to at least figure that out. But then it's my job and the team's job to build rapport with the inspectors. Like that's huge, is like you have to build rapport with the inspectors
100%.
Because they'll destroy you.
Yeah, no, they can, dude. Like anytime an inspector asks us to do something, like I don't argue, I'm like, no problem. Mm-hmm. I ask them questions just to learn.
Yeah.
I have learned to like shut up, you know, because like you start asking them questions like, well, now I think about it. Inspectors are there to help you. You know, they're there to make sure that your subs did things correctly.
Well, what's funny is some of these towns, like we go in and like they kind of already come with the sticker ready. And I'm always like, no, can you still check it? Because like
I've been there, dude. It scares me.
Because I'm like, I got to warranty this. Like I want to make sure the framer didn't miss something.
Yeah.
You know, or something, you know, so that kind of thing. But I get it. Like, you know, they trust us in that instinct. I do wish inspections would turn over to like one big governing body. I think it would make more sense, like the state.
Oh,
because
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, man.
It would. I think it would level the playing field, because there's a lot of I've seen a lot of like sketchy stuff, especially in like inner city type stuff, where I do see inspectors not doing the right thing, and also just pisses me off. In other towns, they're great. I've noticed like any town that has space and is not like ghetto, like they've been a little bit easier.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, anytime you're dealing with riffraff and landlords and stuff like that, they always drop the hammer. Like when there's like rentals in an area.
Yeah, that's very true. We did one in Manalapan. Well, this was retail, like a retail client, and I put the permits in. I was like, you know, it usually takes like a month to get permits. Dude, we put permits in on Monday. They called us to pick them up like Wednesday. I was like,
wow.
I was like, what?
Wow.
And honestly, they were pretty good, and we almost passed off the rip for final. I think we almost passed like everything. And then like the inspector was like checking to see if like the anti-tip rack was on the stove, and he pulled his head out and banged his head on the exhaust hood, and then he looks at it and he takes out his tape measure. It's supposed to be like, I think 30 inches. And it was like,
oh, come on,
28 or something. And we're like, you know, he's like, nope, fail. But anyway, so another question for you, going back earlier to cost per square foot. Obviously that's, you know, popular. People talk about. How are you, I guess, value engineering your projects to keep costs down? Obviously there's labor, like I get that, but like, how are you doing it? Like maybe design wise or material wise, like anything you want to share?
No steel.
Yeah.
Limited steel. Like that's usually one of the things when I first started. Like you were asking like advice, like don't use steel if you don't, like, because that just adds way more to it. That was one of the biggest things, is like, how can you make open concepts without using a ton of steel? That's just because there's projects we spend thousands of dollars on extra stuff because everyone wants open concepts. Sure, that's the other thing. So it's figuring that out. I think having multiple projects in a pipeline and sharing with the subs of like, this is what we have. I never like really commit to one set of subs. I kind of have like 2 or 3 tile guys, 2 or 3 plumbers. So they kind of know like, hey, you're getting the rotation of what it is, because, you know, I'll have a good, like I used to like give the same plumber every single thing. And then it's like all of a sudden now his prices just slowly,
you don't even know what it costs.
Slowly keep rising. Yep. I'm like, dude, well, this is less bathrooms. Why is it more money? He's like, oh, there's this. I'm like, okay, now I got to go to market. And now I got to make you compete again. Which
is annoying, because then you got to call 10 plumbers to get 5 quotes. And then,
Yeah, plumbers are my worst like trade. HVAC, I have good guys. Electrical, I have good guys. Plumbing, for some reason, I always get a great guy and then they fall off. I get a great guy, I fall off. And I've paid the most, I've paid the least, and they both suck. So it's been a little bit of a challenge. And like my HVAC guy complains, he's like, the plumber is charging the same as me. My equipment's triple the price of his. Like they're laying piping glue, and I'm like, dude, I don't set the price. I don't know what's going on.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like
no steel.
No steel. I try to not build with steel if I can.
And what else?
What was the question?
Like, how are you value engineering your projects
suppliers
to keep the costs in line?
Making sure, like in certain areas, like windows. I think windows are a big one. Like you can spend $40,000 on Andersen windows. Like sliders alone from Andersen are $3,000 a piece. So sometimes, like we'll be creative in that sense where I have a really, really good window company with a basic window, dual pane. Look, white vinyl. When you start going black windows, like it's just double, triple the price for no reason.
I know. Yeah.
I know everybody wants that aesthetic, but how I'll achieve that is like I'll do a white window with a wrapped aluminum in black just to make it look like the aesthetic.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So the window's still white. It's just the capping on the outside's
correct.
black.
I've tried to spray windows. They came out like shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
It doesn't look good. Even though like everyone's, oh, it looks great. Like it looks great for like the first week, and then like you can start to see it peeling. It doesn't work. Now we're actually trying on this house we're doing for a homeowner, going from a Andersen 400 series to a 100 series casement. Because the 100 series on the Andersen side are not
it's single hung.
Yeah, it's single hung, which I don't understand that at all.
We do a ton of that actually.
Really?
When people want black windows, like
okay.
We could give you Andersen 100. Like it's as cheap as it gets for a black window, but it is at the end of the day, it's Andersen.
It's a good window.
Yeah,
it is. But the problem I run into on new construction is egress. So when you have those windows, you just have a smaller egress. Where the casement windows you can get away with less windows, and then you have bigger egress. It's a full egress.
Yeah. So
we're trying out the Andersen 100 series, which I think will look good. And yeah, they were a fraction of the cost. Like it was like probably almost half of what it is. Sliders, like if we're doing white windows through Andersen, like we'll get a low slider. Like I'm not going to go crazy get an Andersen unless it's like recommended. You know
what though? I've looked into that. I'm trying to think because we did one last year. We did like all white windows, and then we had to do a slider. Mm-hmm. And I think I looked at like the Home Depot slider versus like Andersen, and it wasn't like, maybe it was a couple $100, but it wasn't anything crazy.
I think it's like, I think at Lowe's you can get like a $1,200 slider, and I think Andersen's like $1,600.
Yeah, it sounds
something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, is like the right takeoffs for lumber, like is huge.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten killed in takeoffs, especially when like the numbers were spiking back in COVID. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
Dude, I literally had like lumber, like we budgeted for like 60, and I think it was like 110.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I
lived it.
I was like, I'm just building a house for nothing now.
Well, I was doing it for clients. They were accusing me of like fudging numbers and ripping them off. I'm like, here's the receipts.
The bill,
like, I'm not. This is what it costs.
I think the takeoffs are hard, and picking the right lumber house is important. I've used Kukin, Madison, Builders General. Like I've used a bunch. Kukin probably is up there for the best.
I use Kukin a lot. Actually, Houston Lumber in North Plainfield, they're actually pretty solid. Good. They're just a small shop, but like for me, they've been like really good with trusses. It's like with me, I'm big on loyalty, and I've told my suppliers this. It's like, I don't want to negotiate with you every single order. Yeah. I was like, but if I, call someone and like I'm getting my eyes plucked out by you, I'm probably not going to call you back.
Yeah.
It's like, just be honest with me.
I've ran into that a couple of times, but I always try to just price check, because I'll have guys come on job sites and they're like, oh, we can beat you. Usually there's always like a catch to it,
So I'll give you the example. The catch was, and if my sales rep from Kukin's listening to this, he's going to know what I'm talking about. But like I mean, dude, the job I'm doing right now, that's probably like $250,000 of lumber between trusses. So the trusses alone were like, I think it's like $85,000 or something. It's like the first quote from the other supplier was like 110. I'm like, too much. And then they came down to like 93. And then like the other supplier was like 90. And then they kept changing truss, companies. And all of a sudden I got like 85. I'm like, well, we started at 110, guys.
That's crazy.
Right? So it's like a little aggravating. I'm like, all right, well, now I got to check your lumber. And then like, and you're right. Like people will call me or DM me on Instagram. Hey, like we quote windows. Okay, fine. Here's my architect plans. Here's the windows. And then they're not even close. I'm like, you're not like, oh, son of a gun. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, so you do have to keep them honest. And same thing with the trades, like you said. So I think if you've got, like maybe two, lumber company or two supply houses, 2 or 3 subs, like, and like you said, just rotate them. I think that works really well. Like do you beat your subs up on pricing anymore or no?
It depends on the job. Like if I need to squeeze them, what I usually do is I kind of have a running list of like, all right, you're going to do 20,000 here, but then I need you to be at this number for this job. So it's like, you can make it here, but you can't make it here. And they kind of understand, all right, well, I'm going to get 10 jobs. So it kind of works itself out. I always just try to look at an invoice and I try to take 10% off every single invoice. So any invoice I get, I always just like throw back, even like give me your best number. And then I always try to take another 10% off.
Every time?
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I used to do that. Like just now I don't even like, cause I'll get a price to plumb this house from Joe for $13,500 and then Stan will give me $12,500. And I'm just like, I'll go with Stan. And Joe be like, hey, what happened? Like I took Stan's number. Like just, like I don't feel like, because the other thing is I don't want to make them feel like I'm their only customer, and conversely, I don't want that. I have some guys who like, Mr. Pete, I need more business. I'm like, bro, it's not my job to give you business. Like go find business, So like, I don't ever want people to be like that. And the type of work that we do, like kind of in my head, know what it costs or what it should cost. So usually I'll like type up like almost like a scope of work with like guesstimates, and then I'll ask them for their price. And like, if it works for my guesstimate that I'm basing my bid off of and so on and so forth, then I'm happy. Bigger jobs, like I'll beat people up, especially if I have like investors involved. I'm like, look, I need your best price, man. So
I'm always trying to, within reason. Like if I know we're getting a good deal, like I'm not going to continue to beat them up, but I do try to just, because what I kind of promise them is the pipeline, of business where it's like, all right, instead of HVAC being 25, like give me HVAC at 21, 22, but you're going to get 10 jobs. So it's like guaranteeing that work where it's like, got to do it a homeowner, how we work, like everything's.
So I'm going to, that's the last thing I'm going to touch on briefly, that a lot of subcontractors maybe don't get. And like, if you're in new construction, you need to explain this to people, because we do this with property management, right? Like, so our plumbers in a year we probably pay $100,000 in like plumbing work for property management. This is like leaking whatever, $100,000, dude. Yeah. How many clients do they talk to? One. Right?
Just you guys.
Just us. Yeah. So they might go to 50 houses in a year and they talk to one client. They don't have to talk to 50 Karens. They have to talk to us. And on occasion, there's a complaint. So like in construction, I explained that to them too. I'm like, look, bro, like we do a handful of these a year. Like, we're feeding you work. And like I just told you, I barely negotiate with them. I'm like, just give me a price. I need a good price. That's it. Yeah. So like the smart ones appreciate that. And the stupid ones kind of fire themselves, which I've had to do, where I have them constantly whining and crying. I'm like, dude, take your business elsewhere, dude. Like, so.
I don't get that. Yeah. Like when you're working not for a homeowner and you're working just with a builder, and especially the builder giving you business or property management company, like that just blows my mind, because it's just like you literally make their whole business. Like you're adding, let's say he's not getting 100, but even if he's getting 40,000,
30, 20, whatever. Yeah. Like that's nice.
It's an extra month for them.
That's nice. It would be no different than you and I having one guy who like each year he's like, hey, Joe, Pete, build 3 houses for me.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Exactly.
I need to beat you up on price again. Okay, fine. I get it. But you're giving me a quarter of my year of work. Cool. Yeah. Well, I could do that.
Exactly.
The smart ones understand that. So, dude, this has been awesome. How could people reach out to you if they ever have questions or deals or whatever?
Instagram, so Real Estate with Joe, or just text me or call me.
Real Estate with Joe on Instagram. All right, Joe, I appreciate you coming on, and this was really good stuff, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the New Jersey Real Estate Investor Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Until next time.